We're coming near the end of the 2021 NBA season, and even though there's been a lot of games, it's been a pretty good season. And there's been loads of players who stepped up this year and have had very good seasons. People have, recognised those players who had great seasons, like Nikola Jokic's, Joel Embiid's, and those type of players. But there's also players who have not been recognised enough, or maybe at all, for what they've done this season, for different reasons, small markets, non-competitive teams, and all that. So in this video, we're going to look at 10 players who've had underrated seasons, gone under radar, people aren't talking about them at all or enough. And these are only 10 players, there could be easily 10 more you can mention. So we'll get into the 10 in this video and we'll go from there. So at number 10, we've got Carmelo Anthony in his 18th season, I think now. Carmelo Anthony this year, he's averaging 13.5 points per game, 3.2 boards, and 38.5% shooting from 3 on 4.7 threes a game. So you look at those stats and you say, that's nothing special. Why is he on this list? Another stat is he's only averaging 25 minutes per game, which is a career low for him. And this year Melo is a six man for the Blazers. He's never really been a six man in his career, so now he's a six man, and as I said, averaging a career low 25 minutes per game. So now you think about it, he's getting almost 14 points per game in 25 minutes. And once then we add in that he's almost 37 years old. He's 37 in May, playing for a Blazers team which they've been riddled by injuries up and down season. So when you look at all those things, he's one of the better six men in the league. Let's compare him to two six men. Jordan Clarkson, most people's six man of the year favourite. He's averaging 17.4 points per game. So he's probably the leader, and he's the benchmark. He's averaging 17.4 points per game. Melo averaging almost 14. So, and also last year's winner Montrezl Harrell is averaging 14 points per game, the same. And he's about 37, as I've said. He brings so much on the offensive end. He's not as bad at defensive end as people say he is. So I think Melo deserves a little bit more, credit, because think about it. Just over a year ago, he looked like his NBA career is over. Once, I think it was the Rockets was his last team before the Blazers. Once he failed over in Houston, people thought he was going to leave the NBA, maybe just retire. So he's come a long way since then. One of the better six men in the league. Still very good in the offensive end. Still bring this Blazers team a lot of, qualities. Scoring on a scoring end, leadership. So I think Carmelo Anthony has to be on this list, and that's why he's number 10. Number 9 now is Karl Anthony Towns. This year he's averaging 24.7 points per game, 10.8 rebounds, 4.6 assists per game, on 40% shooting from 3 on 6 threes a game. And yes, the T-Wolves, they're one of the worst teams in the NBA. They're trash, we all know that. But Cat's had a rough year with COVID and injuries, losing family members. He also got it himself, and injuries of course. And that's what's made this season even better for him, even though he's on a struggling team. His defense is improving each year, from his rookie year to now, his defense has come a long way. Still nowhere near perfect, but it's come a long way. And, his offense is one of the best. He's one of the best offensive scorers, offensive big men scoring. He's up there with Vucevic, who's also on this list. So he's up there one of the best offensive scorers for big men. The former two-time All-Star, I think he used to be overrated a few years ago. People used to think he's better than he is. But I think now, I don't know if it's injuries or the T-Wolves being so irrelevant, that Cat has kind of, he's kind of become a bit underrated. He's not being talked about as much. All I hear about Cat is now what team next for him. No one's talking about how he's playing. Is he doing? Should he be an All-Star? Is he still at All-Star level? I think he is. But he's not being talked about enough as a player. More where to next for Cat. Maybe that's a different video. But I think this season and how he's played, he's gone underrated. At number 8, another center, Richaun Holmes from the Sacramento Kings. He's averaging 14 points per game, 1.6 blocks a game, 9 rebounds a game, and 64% shooting from the field. Holmes, he's having a career season in Sacramento this season, with scoring, rebounds, assists, and blocks all up from previous years. He's also shooting with great efficiency. He's converted on 64% of his floaters, and the only thing that goes against Holmes is his poor defense. Richaun Holmes, as a center, one of the most underrated centers in this list. He's not the only one. Obviously we have Cat. I said we have Vooch, he's coming up. We've also another one or two. So Holmes, he's had a great season, but he played in Sacramento, so you're not going to get recognised there. One of the smallest markets you can really get in the NBA. Not many people care about Sacramento at all. So that's why Richaun Holmes has gone under the radar, but not in this video. He's going to get his credit. He's had a great season. I think he's a free agent this off season, so it'll be interesting to see where he goes to next. But yeah, Richaun Holmes, you've had a great season. Keep it up. Number 7, Malcolm Brogdon of the Indiana Pacers, averaging 21.4 points per game, 6 boards, 6 assists, 5 boards, 6 assists, on 40% shooting from 3, on 6.7 threes a game. And now, with Victor Oladipo leaving the Pacers and went to the Rockets and now is at the Heat, Brogdon has fitted in seamlessly. He's the main man in that backcourt with Caris LeVert, and people haven't noticed Victor Oladipo's absence from this Pacers team. Brogdon is doing it on both ends of the court with the Pacers, as I said, averaging 21 points per game, and he's almost averaging a steal a game as well. So he's bringing that to the defensive end and of course the offensive end. His turnovers are also down from previous years, which is a good thing for him. If you're going to be the main man in the backcourt, you're going to have to handle the ball well. So he's kept his turnovers down, doing it on the offensive end, improving defensively. Former Rookie of the Year, I think 2017. He's got a bright future. Backcourt is his now, really, with Victor Oladipo gone. So be interested to see how he does in future years. And even when the Pacers had a poor season, Malcolm Brogdon has definitely stood out on this Pacers team. And as I said, it's going to be very interesting to see where he goes from now. Do they stick with Indiana? Indiana's a franchise, very interesting. They've still got some good players. You got Caris LeVert, you got Malcolm Brogdon, Sabonis, all go underrated because they play in Indiana. They're struggling this year. Where do they go from now? Who knows? At number 6 now, we got Gary Trent Jr. Now this player, he's the most underrated videos, which is why he's only at number 6. He's started to become a bit more rated, but now that he's gone to Toronto, I think, it's died down really how good of a season he's had. He's averaged 15.6 points per game on 40% shooting from 3 on 7.5 threes a game. Gary Trent, he's impressed a lot. He impressed a lot with the Blazers last year in the bubble. I remember the first round of the playoffs as a Laker fan watching the Lakers play the Blazers. Gary Trent was exceptional in that series. Great threat from 3. Very, very good in defensive end as well. This year he's taking the next step. He brings a lot on defensive end, as I said, and he's a very reliable 3-point shooter. So I think you're going to get with Gary Trent. Great player, a young player, and he's gone from strength to strength from the bubble last year. Especially when CJ McCollum was injured this year for the Blazers, he really stepped up, starting with the Blazers, and that's why I thought it was weird when they traded him. Probably because he wasn't going to re-sign there, but yeah, a very, very good player. And as I said, he's been traded to the Raptors, and he's becoming a free agent this off-season. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think he's going to end up with the Raptors because otherwise why else would they trade for him? But it'll be interesting to see what Gary Trent wants to do. Do you want to join a rebuilding Raptors and be one of the main man, or do you want to go somewhere else? Maybe New York, they got cap space, I don't know. I'm just making that one up. That's not a legit rumour, but yeah, could happen. At number 5, got DeMar DeRozan. Now this is one of my favourite players to watch in the league. He's unbelievable. But he plays in San Antonio, a playoffs play-in fighting San Antonio, but not a championship contender. So that's why he's gone under the radar. He's averaged 21.2 points per game, 7.2 assists per game, which I think is massive, and 50% shooting from the field. A vastly underrated player in my opinion for years now. Ever since he left Toronto really, he's gone underrated. He should have been an All-Star this year. That's one of the things that I'm so happy for Mike Conley to become an All-Star there. But really, DeMar DeRozan, of all the players that pulled out of the All-Star game, he should have definitely been an All-Star. I don't know if it was just playing in San Antonio or what, not being competitive, but he should definitely be an All-Star. We all know what he can do, especially on the offensive end. He's deadly from the mid-range. Keeping the mid-range game alive really. Most people are shooting threes now, or you get the odd centre bullying in the paint like Andre Drummond, but DeMar DeRozan, he's keeping the mid-range game alive. He's unbelievable from there, but he's become an elite passer since he came to San Antonio. That's one thing that Greg Popovich has got out of him. That's why I said he's averaging 7.2 assists per game. That must be a career high. I think it is. And he's another free agent this offseason, like Gary Trent and a few others. And at the start, when I knew DeMar DeRozan was going to become a free agent, I thought he's definitely leaving San Antonio. You're not getting as much credit there. It's not the biggest market really. A young team might be contenders for a few more years. You're pretty much in your prime now. You want to contend for championships. But I got a feeling that he might re-sign with the San Antonio team, because there's not too many teams with cap that would go for DeMar DeRozan this offseason. None of the contenders really, other than Miami. But would they really go for DeMar DeRozan? New York is definitely an option for him. I think there's a very good chance that he stays in San Antonio, because he fits in very well with his young core players. He's become a provider now. He's not just relying on scoring to impact the game. He's now a provider. He can pass the ball very well and still bring a lot of scoring, surrounded by a very young core, which I think he's even played the power forward position this year. He used to be a shooting guard mostly. So he's changed his position. He's fit in San Antonio very well, and I would not be surprised if he ended up re-signing with San Antonio. At number 4 now, we got Terry Rozier, who's averaged 20.7 points per game, 4.2 boards, on 40.5% shooting from 3 on 8 threes a game, and also 1.3 steals a game. Now Rozier, he's always been an inconsistent player, going back to his Boston days. You know, player with great potential but not consistent enough. And then he got traded to the Hornets, and now he's finally shown his potential. He's one of the main man on a very good Hornets team. Finally, a Hornets team is competitive. You know, no one cared about Charlotte until they got LaMelo Ball in the draft. They also got Gordon Hayward. Now they've Terry Rozier. They've also got some very good young players, you know, role players like a Devontae Graham coming off the bench. So this Hornets team are great, and Terry Rozier has actually stood out this year. He's had a great season, a career season really, and obviously he's having a great scoring season, as I've said. The numbers won't lie, but defensively as well, he stepped up. A very quick player, very feisty defender, averaging 1.3 steals, very active on the defensive end. I think he stepped that part of his game up, and that's why I think should be on this list. Not quite all-star level yet, but he's definitely underrated. Most of the credit has gone to a LaMelo Ball, a Gordon Hayward. You know, him and Devontae Graham, they've kind of gone under the radar. But Terry Rozier especially, you know, now he's a starting point guard of this team. Very, very good player. So at number 3, we got Nikola Jokic. And he has to be in this video because a few weeks ago I made a video about how underrated Nikola Jokic is. So, you know, I had to include him in the top 10 list. Only number 3 because I've gone over how underrated he is. But just again, stats this season, he's averaging 24 points per game, 11.3 rebounds a game, and shooting 42% from 3 on 5.3 threes a game. Vooch, he's definitely one of the most underrated one of the best offensive centers in the league. Defensively, not the best, but he still grabs the boards. He's very good at that. He became a 2-time All-Star this season. You know, a very good pick and roll player. Just been traded to Chicago from Orlando, which, you know, I think it's better for him because Chicago's a much bigger market. And maybe if Zach LaVine stays, he's obviously there now. Maybe another big name like Alonzo Ball or someone like that, and the Bulls might get back, you know, into playoff contention or something, you know, something like that. So this could be the start of something good for Chicago. But as for Vucevic, very underrated, you know, great player, and doesn't get enough respect. But anyway, on number 2 now, another center, and I hadn't noticed him this season until I checked some stats and looked over some stuff, and that is Jonas Valanciunas of the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, you know, playing in Memphis, unless you're John Morant, really, you're not going to get too much attention. But Valanciunas has gone under the radar. I've heard pretty much nothing about him this season. As I said, until I made this video, I haven't heard anything about how Valanciunas or the Grizzlies are really doing. But the stats are very, very good. He's averaging 17 points per game and 12.6 boards a game. Unbelievable. If you look back to Vooch, he's averaging more boards and, you know, nearly 20 points per game. He's doing very, very well. He's had another great season. You know, he's always gone under the radar, but this season especially. He's the third best rebounder in the league right now. Well, he's averaging the third most rebounds in the league right now, only behind Clint Capella and Rudy Gobert. So, you know, not too bad of names to be behind, and he's ahead of some great players. Think of Andre Drummond, one of the best rebounders in the last couple of years. He's ahead of him. Obviously, he also went on a run of 15 straight games, averaging a double-double. So, you know, a run of 15 double-doubles, rebounds and points. Obviously, that's what he does. Very good at that. He knows his role. He knows it very well. He's a big part of this Memphis Grizzlies team. Doesn't really shoot the 3. He's only shooting around 1 3 game this year, hitting it around 33%. So he's not really to stretch the floor, but he's a great player. And Memphis did very well because he came in this Marc Gasol trade. And, you know, obviously Toronto won the championship, so it's like a win-win trade because he's only 28 years old, Valanciunas. So the Memphis Grizzlies got a very good center in their hands, criminally underrated. I haven't heard enough about him until this video, till do my research, and he's been unbelievable. He's also had 15 games where he scored 20 or more points per game. So he can clearly score very well. Very good rebounder, extremely underrated. And that leaves the number 1, who is De'Aaron Fox. Now De'Aaron Fox, he's averaging 25.3 points per game, 3.5 boards, and 7.2 assists per game this season, and also 48% shooting from the field and 1.5 steals a game. Now, it's probably because De'Aaron plays in Sacramento and no one really cares about Sacramento unless you're a Kings fan. As a Lakers fan, don't really care, you know, about how they're doing. They're not really relevant at the moment. They're in and around the playoffs, that's mainly because of De'Aaron Fox. Obviously, as I said, unless you're a Kings fan, you're not going to pay attention about how they're doing really. And I think he's one of the biggest All-Star snubs this year. Obviously, it's great to see Mike Conley coming All-Star, but De'Aaron Fox is up there with DeMar DeRozan as some of the biggest All-Star snubs this year. He's had a great season. I think he's around 23 years old as well. He's got plenty of time to improve. He's got all the attributes to be one of the best guards in the league. You know, he's a great scorer, very quick, got some good athleticism, good acceleration. So he's got a very bright future, and he's carrying the Kings into playoff contention. And I think he did sign an extension in Sacramento. I think 5 years, $160 million. So the Kings rate him. The rest of the NBA, not really. His future, you know, you'd like to think he'd want to get traded, unless you're going to get some big name in Sacramento, which I don't think is going to happen. So how his career's going to go, I don't know. But he's definitely shown lots of potential. And he can be one of the better guards in this league in the future years to come. So anyway guys, tell me, do you agree or disagree with this list? There's loads more. Think on top of my head, even as a Lakers fan, just think about an underrated player for the Lakers. I'm thinking Markieff Morris. And Laker fans out there, if you're watching this video, I think you have to agree that Markieff Morris has been great for the Lakers. So there's definitely players that missed out. You can think of Tobias Harris and all those boys, and that's the beauty. It's only 10 underappreciated players, not the the exact 10. There could be 10 more that you disagree completely. So leave in the comments below if you do disagree. Anyway guys, thanks for watching the video. If you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and turn on notifications to stay notified when we upload. And with all that said, I'm out of here.